Hello, everyone, and welcome to the XEP review for the 1 terabyte OLED Steam Deck by Valve. I'm your host, Luke Lore, the Insipid Ghost, and host of the Xbox Expansion Pass, which is an Xbox gaming podcast. However, as Xbox has begun expanding their platform availability into other places, it has made sense for us to expand our coverage into more devices, more units, more places where Xbox is being made available either via cloud or natively on a place like a Steam Deck. So here we are. It has me incredibly excited to check out new ecosystems, and it's opened my eyes into more ways to play. Valve was kind enough to send over this 1 terabyte Steam Deck unit. It's an OLED Steam Deck. Keep that in mind as we go through. And I've been playing this for about the last month or so. I'm somewhere north of 80 hours, around 100 hours in it. It's been a daily driver for me in that time, and I've really been having a blast. Mind you, I come from the last 3 decades being in a console space, either with PlayStation or Xbox proper. And I am very impressed by what I get here with the Steam Deck. And I want to talk about a lot of these different impressions. Out of the box, impressed. The moment I opened this bad boy up and took a look at it, I was impressed. The unit comes in this really cool carrying case that whenever you buy the OLED model, you're going to get this carrying case. It's hard, it's sturdy, it keeps the unit safely strapped in there, which is awesome. It's also got a spot on the back where you can just slot in the charger very comfortably here. Makes it great for traveling, keeping it safe as you move about when you're not playing it. I really liked this thing. Got that loud Velcro. Ooh, that's rough. But I really dig it. Keeps it very secure. So I wasn't worried about jostling it around, even though it is a very high-tech unit, which again, I was impressed with. But that sturdy carrying case made a big difference for me immediately out the gate. I felt more comfortable moving about with it, which is pretty darn great, all things considered. My second impression was that this thing's big, right? The OLED model is a 7.4-inch screen, which is fairly big, comparable to something like your Nintendo Switch, but a touch bigger. And as a longtime veteran of console gaming, but also a longtime veteran of portable gaming, I spent a lot of time from the OG Game Boy all the way through to my favorite in my heart, my OLED Vita, and of course the Nintendo Switch. I was still taken aback by the quality of this screen. It's very impressive. I booted this thing up. That OLED screen is evident. It is evident that this thing allows for some of the best displays on the market. I was just kind of in shock for it. I also wanted to point out how comfortable the unit is to hold. You've got these back buttons back here, which are fully customizable. You can kind of poke and prod and customize these to be whatever you like. And I have found that back buttons on standard controllers for things like Xbox, for PlayStation, wonderfully important, very useful for comfortability, adaptability, and accessibility for depending on just whatever your gaming needs are. Maybe it's just more comfortable to use a back button and squeeze versus pressing A to jump, that kind of thing. I found this exceptionally well done, and I also found something different from the Nintendo Switch or the Vita or any other kind of other portable gaming experiences I might have had. These buttons right here are full size. They are comparable to what you would find on a DualSense or an Xbox controller. And I really dig that. That was very comfortable, and I didn't find myself cramping or dealing with like a smaller unit. That sometimes happens when you're dealing with those other devices. Sometimes I felt like I was using a kid's toy on those other handhelds. Not with the Steam Deck. This thing feels like it is a full-fledged console level experience, just portably so. And that's a really just to me, a very important thing to note. So I was very pleased with that. It's also got these really cool trackpads here, which I think are a staple. Whenever you look at a Steam Deck, you see those trackpads, you know what you're doing, or rather, I should say, you know you're looking at a Steam Deck. They're unique and strange and odd to me, but they're also very useful. I was impressed by how it makes some of the PC gaming experiences more accessible. It's similar to, or it's, I guess, a portable version of how you might use a mouse just on a portable device. It does have a touchscreen, mind you. You can use that as well. But having those trackpads, very useful and helpful there. I do want to talk about these buttons a little bit more, though, because I was taken aback by not just how comfortable they were, but how clicky they are. I mean, they are extremely clicky all over. It's click, 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 which I absolutely love. Personally, I really dig that. And I think a lot of people in the PC gaming space, if you enjoy things like a mechanical keyboard, you are going to really enjoy how clicky these buttons are. But they're loud. And when I say that, I want you to keep that in mind because if you're trying to game next to, say, a sleeping spouse or partner or a resting child, you might run into an issue where that clicking is going to agitate or keep somebody awake. It doesn't bother me. It's not something that I think is going to bother a lot of people, but I would have felt strange not mentioning it because so many people have been turning to portable gaming as a way to fill in what was previously a console driven gaming space. So just keep that in mind. I love how responsive they are. I found no delay. I found them wonderful. It's just something I found myself noticing, the click, click, click aspect of it. Take that how you will. The performance of the unit. Valve partnered with AMD when they set up the Steam Deck's like custom APU for optimized handheld gaming. Whatever that sounds like, tech jargon, and to many it is. But for those who are interested, it's a Zen 2 processor plus RDNA 2 that makes it very much able to handle modern AAA experiences. And I found that to fully be the case. The refresh rate, the pixel density of the screen, chef's kiss. I was playing some of the latest AAA gaming experiences like Spider-Man Remastered and such, and it was smooth. It was beautiful. I gotta say, it was flawless. Again, sometimes I'm just taken aback by the ability to play these AAA titles on a portable handheld. And I gotta tell you, there were times where it put my PlayStation 5 and my Xbox Series X into perspective. It put some things into perspective in ways that I just was surprised about. Playing old Xbox One era games, playing the PC versions of them on Steam Deck gave me the best experience. So even though some of these modern consoles have created ways for you to play older generation titles and they look great, they've got, auto HDR and FPS boost and that kind of thing, playing some of the Steam versions, the PC native versions of these older titles, they looked even better, especially on kind of that 7.4-inch OLED screen. It was pretty cool. So kind of a sorry not sorry moment to my console brethren that there were some games that were just better on my Steam Deck than they would have been on my Series X or my PlayStation 5. And that's a really cool thing to be able to say, right? I was surprised a little bit, and maybe I shouldn't have been, but I was surprised by how well the quick resume esque features of the Steam Deck were. Valve provides something called fast suspend, fast resume, which is very similar to Xbox's quick resume feature and the game launcher on PlayStation. And it was remarkable how able I was able to, or how quickly rather, I was able to quickly exit from a game, enter into something like the Steam store for a bit, boot back up, and be back into my game extremely quickly. It was really awesome to see because, at least for me, coming from a mostly Xbox ecosystem, Quick Resume is a staple. It's necessary. It is a part of my modern gaming experience. And so to have that fast resume feature on the Steam Deck, it lent itself very well. I was comfortable with it. I felt good going into this ecosystem and exiting one game, going into another. Sometimes with PC gaming, we worry about, do you have your drivers installed? Do you have settings installed? That kind of stuff. But because Valve has been so supportive of this ecosystem, games have Steam Deck settings. Whether you're on the LCD or the OLED model, it's the same system set, right? They only have one performance target that they need to hit. So developers can just aim, is it Steam Deck ready? Do we have this verified? Is it playable? Go. And it was evident that that was the case. So I was really enjoying that aspect of it. Now, a lot has been said of the battery life for some of these portable handhelds in the market, Steam Deck and its competitors. And for me, the battery life, especially during some of the more demanding AAA games, did become a concern for me. In fact, it became routine for me in the evening after work or just the day, my out and about day. I'd go to bed, I'd pick up my Steam Deck an hour or two before bed, game until the battery ran out, and then I'm done, right? Like I can't play anymore. Valve states that this battery life is between a 3 and 12-hour experience, depending upon content and demand, which makes sense, right? Some of your less demanding indie titles, your 2D side scrollers, that kind of stuff, they're not going to put as much of a strain on the hardware, push the thermals and the cooling and the fans cranking up as you would some of the more modern AAA experiences. But it was evident to me, right? My more demanding games, I was sitting around a 2-hour mark. And to me, that's very short. Whereas some of the longer experiences were in the 4, 5, 6 hour range, just depending. I never saw the 12-hour experience that is boasted, I guess you would say, by Valve in some cases. In short, that's kind of the one true and only knock I have for the Steam Deck is that battery life. I think if you're planning to go on a long car trip or going on a plane or that kind of thing, you're going to want a method of charging that is going to extend your play periods, because 2 hours just doesn't feel like enough if you're on that long trip. The charge port, I should note, it's a USB-C thing. It's found at the top of the unit, which is kind of interesting. Like right up here, you got that little charge port right here next to the on-off button, which is orange, and you got your volume buttons over here, your audio port. To have these things on the top was an interesting choice for me. I found it odd because, like, you have a lot of your docks that will allow you to, send it to a monitor or just sit and rest and charge. You're going to have some method where that dock, it sits and rests, but then that wire comes up over top and clicks in. There's a lot of third-party stuff on the market, and they don't look too bad, but it did just kind of sit out as it's going to be a little bit different, right? Like, it's not just sitting and charging like you would a phone or a wireless device, that kind of thing. You're going to need to kind of wire that thing into the top. Not a big deal. Nobody should let that be influencing their buying experience, that kind of stuff. But something to just keep in mind if you are, a fan of form factor when it's resting or on display, that kind of stuff. I get it. So I will say, if you're looking to transition into a new ecosystem, then Steam and the Steam Deck are the route to take when it comes to these handhelds. The Steam ecosystem has long been curated. Steam is the top of the market. They are bar none unrivaled in the PC gaming space, and they have done a lot to make their buying experience, their store experience, very easy to use. If you are kind of coming from the console space and you're just ready for that new ecosystem, Steam is the way to go. Absolutely the way to go. And you can do some side loading and tweaking to get some of your Epic Game Store library and stuff made available to you. But one thing I have noted as coming from console is that the support of Xbox and PlayStation titles alongside third party, top to bottom, whether you're looking at like your best AAAs to your smaller titles, indie titles, like, I think it's unrivaled. It is unrivaled, the Steam experience. Steam has nailed the user interface, the user experience, both on their Steam Deck approach, but also on like their desktop experience. And it's very quickly traversing in between. You buy something on the mobile app. There you go. That's the third place for it. Your mobile app or on your desktop, that thing's popping up on your Steam Deck near immediately. Very nice, comfortable, easy to use. Interface, user experience on the Steam Deck, on your desktop, on your mobile platform. I would argue, if I'm being blunt, it's better than any of the console spaces too. Nintendo has a lot of work to do in this area. PlayStation and Xbox have done great works in recent years, but Steam to me was the absolute best and most easy to use, which, long-time 3-decade console user, this was like, oh my. The library on Steam is also massive, but it is important to note, again, because we're talking about the Steam Deck, not every title available on Steam is going to be Steam Deck playable or verified, and some of them are just outright unavailable to play on the Steam Deck without some side loading or tweaking and whatnot, which you can do. That is an option for a lot of people that pick up a Steam Deck. They want that customizability, which I'll talk more about in just a moment. But it makes sense that some of these games would not be available on your Steam Deck. You've got, your massive like strategy titles and the control inputs that are necessary on a PC just wouldn't lend themselves into a portable handheld device, no matter how good it is. But not Xbox, but Steam has done a very good job at making many of these available. That said, I was surprised that some of the titles weren't deck verified or deck playable. Even something like Arkham Asylum, not available. You're not able to play that on your Steam Deck. But Arkham Knight and Arkham City, you can. Strange oddities there, and no obvious way to start requesting, hey, Valve, can you look at this? I know it exists, but it wasn't evident like from a store page within the Steam Deck, interested in this being on Steam Deck. That would be a really cool thing to have there available to you. So the odd omissions in the library, despite how massive it is, were something to keep in mind. It's also worth noting, I think, particularly if you're coming from a console gaming space, that some games are not going to be available due to anti-cheat software that comes kind of from the Linux OS, Steam OS elements to it. They just don't jive very well. So you're not able to play Fortnite or Call of Duty or Destiny natively on here, not without tweaking or pulling it off of an SD card, that kind of stuff. And that's just not something I'm interested in doing. I know a lot of people will go into the ecosystem of PC gaming excited to customize, to tweak, to do things. And make no mistake, Valve has done a really good job at making themselves available for this. They've gone out of their way to assist in both hardware and software. You can look at guides provided by Valve on how to repair your Steam Deck, how to open it up, tweak things, replace the sticks, that kind of stuff. They've partnered with different people in the ecosystems to let you go in and tweak that stuff. That's awesome to me from a standing back point. But as a console gamer, I just want to be able to boot up and play, and they've nailed that too, which is really impressive because I don't think they did that right out the gate in the early days of Steam Deck. But entering into it now at this OLED model of a Steam Deck, knowing that there's more handheld gaming stuff on the way, I was just really impressed with the blended ecosystem. So take that for what you will. Steam Deck also has like Bluetooth ready to go stuff. You got a USB-C port that charges it. It can handle all sorts of input output stuff, which is really cool. You can hook this thing up to a monitor. You can hook this thing up to a controller, and you can use your Steam Deck as a PC if you want to, because it is a PC. Dock this bad boy, play it as if it's a console. That's really cool. Steam provides the docking station and whatnot. You can get it from them first party if you want that experience. Not something that I was interested in doing because the barrier to entry, the more accessories you get, the costs rise. But I am just so impressed and taken aback by the availability and accessibility of this unit to do many things beyond just that of boot up and play. But it boots up and plays so well that it's like, oh man, I love this thing. Here's the thing. If you are looking for a blended ecosystem, then Steam and the Steam Deck does have work to do. If you're looking to exit your PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo market and just go Steam, this is peak, bar none, the best. But if you want that blended ecosystem, there is work to do. Any method of bringing over your library from Xbox or PlayStation, xCloud, that kind of thing, you're going to have to go outside the standard lines of what's available to you on the Steam Deck. So you're going to be doing some side loading content. And again, I know that's a major draw for the PC gaming space. You want that that customizability, whatever you want to do to get that library in, you can do it. It exists. There are ways to do it. But for me, I'm more interested in the out of the box experience. That's what I like to do. That's just my take on it. And having been in the console space where it's just boot up and play. Steam does the boot up and play very well, but it doesn't do the blended ecosystem well. I don't get access to my Xbox library, my Xbox cloud saves, unless I'm hitting third-party apps, unless, EA is set up, you log in, access this way. And so that is a hindrance for me in the blended ecosystem space, but as a pure single ecosystem, Valve is just chef's kiss, chef's kiss. Another knock, and again, I don't know if this is a knock, but I felt like I had to mention it because a lot of gaming platforms offer something like a subscription service. And Valve, to my knowledge, does not. There is no Steam Plus as there would be PlayStation Plus or Xbox Game Pass, Quest Plus, that kind of thing. And it's something worth mentioning for the sake of comparing ecosystems that there isn't a subscription service. No way to play the free games that arrive monthly, that kind of thing. I think to many, that's a draw. Like, that's not a hindrance. They want that. But I did feel strange not mentioning it because if you are exiting an ecosystem and going into Steam, you don't have an immediate library available to you at a low cost, right? A lot of times Steam games go on major sales. Steam does offer free games, but it's not like a cadence of Steam Plus kind of thing, Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. So I wanted to mention that to anyone who's checking this one out as part of our This is an Xbox or Is This an Xbox campaign, or if you're checking this out and looking to transfer ecosystems. I just wanted to mention it so you can keep it in mind. Here's the thing. If this is an Xbox, it's a great device. It is a great device, bar none. But it's not the best way to play Xbox. And I think that's going to be the case for a lot of people who are looking into, is this an Xbox, right? For any number of platforms. This is not the best way to play your Xbox. With the asterisk that if you've not been part of the Xbox ecosystem and you go buy into that fantastic library that is available to you, you've got some great gaming ahead of you, right? Like Halo Infinite plays great. The Master Chief Collection plays great. You're going to be looking into some great stuff that's available from Microsoft on the Steam platform, Steam Deck availability, that kind of thing. But some of the older titles will be missing. Now, whether or not you miss out on having Crackdown 3 or Crackdowns 1 and 2, or even the early Gears of War titles, that's mileage may vary, right? That's your interest level. So look into it. But like, it was cool to see games like Recore in there and seeing some of the older stuff that is available on the Xbox platform. But there are some gaps in that. That said, it's very clear that Xbox is keen to support Steam as a platform going forward. So like all your major Xbox launches, they're coming to Steam. Indiana Jones, it's there. Halo, it's there. Starfield, it's there. But no way to like transfer saves that is easy. And so that to me is a minor thing that I just want to mention if you are considering this as a supplement to your console gaming experience, a supplement to your Xbox experience. I don't see it as a major concern myself, but you're going to be rebuying some stuff if you're trying to transfer or exit into another place. So just keep that in mind. Ultimately, though, to me, this Steam Deck OLED right here, this thing is a fantastic device. I have arrived into the world of high-powered handheld gaming, different from that of like the Vita and the Switch, where you're going to get kind of tweaked down and slimmed down performances. The Steam Deck gives you top of the line, best in class handheld experiences, and that's really cool. There's a lot of competitors on the market, and this handheld gaming space is evolving, but bar none, the Steam Deck is one of the best ways, if not the best way to go. To me, knowing that there are other markets out there, I'm still extremely impressed with my time with it. I did not go on hands-on rather with the more affordable LCD model, but given that they hit the same performance targets, it's clear that Valve has something special here. And I really want people to take the time to go in and look at this as a viable option. If you find the price points of the OLED model daunting, and I understand that because you got different memory processes and stuff, and costs and expenses. But if you find that OLED model daunting, the LCD screens give you the same kind of varying memory, the same performance at a more affordable price point. Something to just keep in mind. I got to tell you, let me just make this very clear. The Steam Deck is a great gaming experience, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. This has the XEP endorsement full through and through. This is a great device and one that you should look into because it's clear that Valve will be supporting it for years to come. So check this one out. If this review helped you consider some of your options, if you're exiting ecosystems, entering ecosystems, you're in blended ecosystems, whatever it is, I'll ask you to please consider supporting XEP by dropping a like, sharing this review out, dropping a comment, and just keeping your eyes on XEP for future hardware and content reviews. That'd be fantastic. All right, guys, that is going to be it for me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, week, year, all of that stuff. Take care.